Okay, let's see. Do we have, let's see who we got on the line before we start. Do we have Mark?
Yes.
Cindy? No, Cindy. What about Randy?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. What about Bill? Well, I know Bill's there.
Yep.
Ernest? No, Ernest. Reese? Reese said he wouldn't be able to participate, so. Ronnie?
Yes.
Okay. Keith?
Yes.
And Jerry?
Yes.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got 6. So we have a quorum. So you want to go ahead and call the meeting to order, Jerry?
Okay. Do I need to? I guess Laura will need to read that necessity statement, won't she?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay. Anyway, we'll call this Board for Licensing Contractors meeting to order. It's a special call meeting, and we're to deal with the Gatlinburg fires, and I believe Laura Martin has our necessity statement.
Good morning, thank you. The Board for Licensing Contractors has called a special meeting of the board to implement temporary licensing procedures in accordance with the Governor's Executive Order Number 61 to assist victims or evacuees from the wildfires in Sevier County or severe weather in southeast Tennessee as a means to provide for the protection of the health, safety, and welfare of the public. Pursuant to TCA 8-44-108, a meeting due to necessity means matters to be considered by this governing body require timely action. A physical presence by a quorum of the members is not practical within the period of time requiring action, and participation by telephone means of communication is necessary. Decisions of the board will be confirmed by a roll call vote. Participation by board members using electronic means of communication shall be audible to the public at the location specified. And that's it.
Okay, Carolyn has sent us what was that? An example of an emergency temporary contractor's license request. It would be something similar to a hardship. We got some comments on that, or have you had time to look at it yet?
I don't think I got that.
It was an attachment to your email, Ronnie.
Well, I see. I got a bunch of stuff, but I don't see about the.
It's basically the same form we use for a hardship, except instead of having requesting a letter from the owner, we just ask information to about the reason for getting a hardship as to how it will assist the victims. And I guess what I could say is what we need the board to do is to decide whether or not we want to process these similar to the hardship request by forwarding to a board member, and then also just the exam is waived. So what the executive order says is they must provide sufficient experience and knowledge. So they would need to give a list of experience, and that could be like a list of other licenses along with their other experience, and especially from other states. They could also provide us information like if they pass test exams, and this is all part of our applications, if they have passed tests with other states or in local licensing agencies. But even if they haven't taken a test, if they show sufficient experience and knowledge, their exam could be waived. And then, of course, we're asking they have no record of complaints or felony or judgments. And then lastly is we come up with the prorated fee would be $60 for a 6-month license.
So it's just a 6-month license, and then they'd have to go through the regular process.
Yes.
Who's got to keep up with that?
We,
I mean, 6 months 6 months gonna be hard to do up there with it got bad weather. That's the only reason why I'm asking. You got bad weather coming. I'm not up there, but I know I've talked to Keith many times, and I know we're fixing to have some bad weather up there.
Well, they could,
The idea, I think, is that if at the end of 6 months, somebody wants to continue working in the area, that will have given them sufficient time to have somebody take the test.
Okay.
The point of this order is to waive the test if everything else lines up and the board agrees that they are qualified, so that people can get in and start working as quickly as possible.
Well, how are we going to be sure that these people don't take these people's money when they come in, and how are we going to be sure when they get these jobs started and they turn around and walk away, or they finish the job, who's going to stand behind the warranty work? How's all that going to work? That's I know people went down to New Orleans and they really ripped those people off. So what are we looking at, kind of trying to protect our people here in the state of Tennessee?
Well, the executive order says that we can waive this test if they give us sufficient evidence that they're trying to attempt or assist victims or evacuees from the wildfires.
Mm-hmm.
Carolyn and I had discussed having them sign an affidavit saying that they're doing as such, so at least we have a legal document sort of holding to them to what the attempt is. Other than going after them after the fact, though, I don't know how we can guarantee that somebody isn't going to go in and be a profiteer off of all of this.
Are there just not enough already licensed contractors to do the work out there?
There may be, but I think the idea is that a lot of the people who probably have offices who are contractors in that area are also victims. I think the hope is that people from other states who would otherwise be qualified if they wanted to come in through reciprocity can come in and assist. But at least this way, even though we can bypass the test, we're still checking that they have the financial standing to take on these projects.
Is the idea that they have a license somewhere else already?
It doesn't specifically say that. I think that's what we're assuming is going to happen. Because it does say that they have to be otherwise qualified. So if somebody comes in brand new with no experience, then they wouldn't qualify for this exemption.
I would say we ought to be sure whoever comes in is licensed in some state, be it Georgia, Mississippi, Louisiana, or whatever. Don't just have any Tom, Dick, and Harry come in here and start to work. Because we need this. And Bill, we ought to have we've got a home builders association up in Knoxville. We got one in Kingsport. We got one in Johnson City. We got one in all the surrounding areas up there. I don't know how many people want to come up there. Keith would be more apt to be able to tell that. But I would think that there's enough people up there, but I know that people may be busy, may not be able to gather crews up. I don't know. I know we've had people from Memphis already headed that way. So
I don't think that we can add on to the executive order requiring that these people have a license in another state, but it does give the board the discretion to determine that the people applying are qualified. So,
And I think that that's one thing is each board member takes a look at one of these temporary license requests, and we can, each one of us, determine fully that we make sure that they are qualified. If they are in any doubt, then do not accept their request.
I agree. I think we need to take a very critical eye to all these applications. And so they're going to be sent out to the different board members to look at, Carolyn?
well, that's sort of how we do the hardship process. We can certainly do that.
I think that's what we need to do. I'm in agreement with Bill and Keith. I mean, I've seen this stuff happen and heard horror stories, and this is a terrible event that's happened up in East Tennessee, and I just believe that we need to watch our P's and Q's for the people who they've already been victimized, and I hate for them to be victimized again.
Right.
I think everybody is concerned about not re-victimizing such a vulnerable population. So that's why Carolyn had suggested that we use the same process that we use for the hardship licenses, because that way a board member will have a chance to review the application, and then we can also, the same way that we review those applications and vote on them at the next board meeting, we can do that same thing so that there is a, I don't know, a stopgap if there's a problem.
Well, should we try to get people in here and then maybe do what we kind of do now? For instance, let's just say we get 10 people up there, and y'all get the apps and you send them out to the board members, and then have a conference call, another conference call in 2 weeks, and say who we think is good and who we think is bad. Does that even make sense?
I think that slow down the process, Ronnie.
Okay.
I think what the entire intent here is to get qualified people on the ground and running. You know, so some of these people who are without homes, if they
Right.
can't find a local contractor or a licensed contractor already, they may have somebody, a family member that's a contractor in another state, to
Okay.
come in and build their home for them. And let's get them on the ground and going. It is going to be hard to watch for scrupulous contractors, but I think if we are diligent enough as each board member, we can determine whether or not they're qualified.
How many have you got pending, Carolyn?
Well, none yet. We have people that's called, but these people that have called are thinking that the financial statement is going to be waived. And so we've tried to explain to them the only thing that's waived is the exam, but we did want to hold them off until after our call. And I think that's going to be their biggest issue, is getting a financial statement and insurance. Usually the exam doesn't really delay the application process that much. So I don't think we will see that many, because they still going to have to jump through all the hoops to get their financial statement showing they have enough working capital, net worth, and then plus their insurance.
Carolyn, have you talked to Susan Ritter in at all about what's going on?
No.
You might ought to make that call to her and let her get the information out to the home builders that are available in the Nashville area, from Nashville on up to Keith, and see how many we can get going and things move in that direction.
And I did send her and the other associations a copy of this executive order, and to let them know we were meeting. So, but I can follow up with her.
Okay.
And Carolyn, will we have something on the website that explains to the public what we're doing and to the contractors?
Yes, definitely. We'll put something on the website to show, what our emergency procedures are going to be, and to show what we're doing to help them get licensed quickly.
Okay.
I take it we need a motion to approve the emergency temporary license request.
We're gonna need a motion to approve the application that Carolyn sent you, to approve the process that we discussed. And then, I guess also if you want us to draft an affidavit of where somebody can sign saying what their intent or purpose in receiving this license is, we're gonna need a motion that be approved pending, kind of like how before I had sent things to Mark and it was pre-approved at the board meeting, that once Mark approved it, we were good to go. But those are the things that I think we need approved today to start moving forward.
So you need
Someone
two
who's
motions.
not as hoarse as I am to make that motion.
Well, so the first motion you need is to approve the process that was presented to the board.
Yes.
Okay, I'll move that.
I second it.
Okay, Carolyn, would you call the roll?
I sure will. Okay. Mark Brudd,
Yes.
Brandy Chase,
Yes.
Bill Mason,
Yes.
Ronnie Tickle,
Yes.
Keith Whittington,
Yes.
and Jerry Hayes.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see,
And then-
that motion was to approve the,
process, which will mirror the hardship license process. So we'll send it to a board member who will review it and then get back with Carolyn. The second motion, sorry.
I'll move that we approve the emergency temporary contractor license request form and examination waiver, and that we add an affidavit to it that the contractor explains why he's applying for the license.
I
Second.
second that.
who was at that second? Was that Bill?
No, it was Randy.
Randy, okay. I'm having to take minutes, so, okay. I'm gonna do roll call vote, okay. Mark Brudd,
Yes.
Randy Chase,
Yes.
Bill Mason,
Yes.
Ronnie Tickle,
Yes.
Keith Whittington,
Yes.
and Jerry Hayes.
Yes.
Okay. That's the first motion.
Is that all we need to do?
I was,
Yeah, that's all that we need. If you guys have any questions or concerns relating to the executive order, please feel free to call Carolyn or I to discuss. But that's all we need today, and we'll get moving and
Yeah.
let you know how it's going, I
Yeah.
guess.
So Laura, I have a question, I guess. If we approve this license, it's the same as approving any other license except that we're waiving the exam for 6 months, and that when they take the exam and pass it within that 6-month period, are we converting this to a full license, or
I think
do we
that
have to review it
that
again,
potentially
or-
could happen, but this specific license is non-renewable. It's a temporary license. If during the 6-month period, the person attempts to have a renewable contractor's license, they're gonna have to take the test, and we could probably transfer the application materials for them. But without some sort of action on their part, initiating that process, that wouldn't happen, because this license, by the orders, they have no property right in it. It can't ever be renewed unless they go through the full process.
And they will be set up separately in the system. The IT people are setting up a new transaction, so their license numbers are likely to begin at number 1, and they won't be at the 70,000s like we have now. So they'll have a different looking license number, and it will be a completely different transaction.
That might pose some problems now, because 6 months is, in most cases, not enough time to build some of these custom log homes.
but it'd be enough time for them to get a regular license.
It would be that, but if they're going to come in here and choose not to get a regular license, then they're going to be operating outside our law after 6 months.
Well,
They'll have to stop work. So I expect they'll want to go ahead and get a regular license.
Keep in mind, you also need a license for demolition work and excavation, which I think is going to be, probably happening prior to most of the home building. And I think that is really what this executive order probably was trying to target.
Well, I got a feeling if a guy that thinks he's a builder gets this, he'll jump up there and do what we're saying. But just like he said, or just what you said on demolition, you're talking about probably a month to clear the debris and everything else. So whoever this builder is, he's down to 5 months, and he will not finish his work in 5 months. Not with this weather being the way it is.
The only thing I'm bringing it up for is we need to make it explicitly clear that this is only a 6-month license, and they cannot continue contracting after that 6-month period.
Right.
And they need to get a license in the meantime.
Okay.
That needs to be very, very clear to them, because some people will come back and say, "Oh, well, I thought I had 6 months to get this license, and then I could finish my job." And we need to make it very clear.
And we can monitor those because we'll have a separate database for them. So we can send them out notices saying your license is getting ready to expire. If you want to continue to work, you need to apply for a permanent license. We can also look at the ones on the classifications that where they get a home building license or a commercial building license, and I can reach out to the codes as well to let them know, find out how many permits maybe that they're pulling and how many houses are getting finished. We can just I think we can monitor that because that probably is a concern.
Is this something where we need one of our inspectors up there for a period of time to go around checking licenses?
We could probably ask for that.
I mean, I really don't want to see people in East Tennessee being taken advantage of.
I don't either. That's what I'm saying.
We can check new construction sites and verify licensure. Then I think it would help those people up there. And if they can't prove it, give that inspector the ability to find them or whatever on the spot.
I think that's a great idea.
What do we have to do to make that happen instead of talking about it?
I guess we would just have to direct our inspectors to make periodic, generally we send them to a specific address, but we could talk to them about making periodic rounds, I guess, through the area and check and contacting the builders on new construction.
Yes, and we could probably work with the fire marshal's office because I know they'll have their inspectors there.
Well, I would like something out of this meeting in the form of a motion that we take a preemptive step to make sure that contractors in the Sevier County, I think, Mark, am I right, it's only Sevier County, or did it get into any other neighboring counties?
Sorry, it says Sevier County or severe weather in the southeast Tennessee. So basically anywhere that someone's assisting victims or evacuees in Sevier County or in southeast Tennessee for people that have been affected by the wildfires.
Well, it'd most likely be Blount and Cox counties, but it could be some others.
Well, there were some tornadoes in McMinn County the same week. About, I think, 30 homes were destroyed. So I think it's meant to include that as well.
And then can we say the affected areas?
Yeah, it did say the affected areas. So there, I was looking to see if there was a list on TEMA's website.
Number 3 has a list of counties.
Oh,
Description.
it sure does.
Number 3 is specifically about pharmacists, but that probably would be a general idea of affected areas.
Yeah, that looks like we could probably use that same county list on number 3. Thank you, girls.
Well, I could come up here and stay with Keith and just drive around and check and get paid.
Well, I'm fine with it, except that last part, Ronnie.
Oh, okay.
You give him lunch. He wants lunch.
Hey, Bill, we can't even get lunch now.
I'm thinking we've got some people in our office we could probably send up there.
I think that we can make efforts to make this happen, but Carolyn and I are probably going to want to talk to the head of investigations and to our inspectors to come up with a good solution, and then we can send that out to you once we have a better idea of what we can do. But we can definitely focus on that.
I want something done while we have the board members on the conference call, because if we need board approval, then we're talking another couple of weeks before we can make that happen. And I feel as though the
people up
board,
there need help.
the
They
board needs to make this decision now to help the people.
What y'all could do is make your motion and to direct us to get an inspector or inspectors up there to monitor.
This is Mark Green. You can make a motion to, for the staff and legal to come up with a plan, to send, staff members of the board, inspectors or investigators, to monitor and check licenses in the affected areas within the executive order. That way, then Carolyn and Laura can get with the head of investigations and also talk to the inspectors about how to come up with a plan that would satisfy what it is you're looking for. But you can go ahead and get on the record the fact that you want a plan developed. That'll do that.
Bill, can you state that for me?
Well, I was waiting for you to do that. Okay. Well, I moved that the board direct the executive director and staff to create and implement a plan to send inspectors or other employees into the area to ensure that the licensing and process and laws and regulations of the contractors board are being adhered to.
Second.
Who seconded?
Keith.
Keith? Keith, you're just gonna have to speak up. No.
I'm hoarse as I can be.
Oh, no, you sound awful. Okay, roll call vote. Okay, Mark Brudd,
Yes.
Randy Chase,
Yes.
Bill Mason,
Yes.
Ronnie Tickle,
Yes.
Keith Whittington,
Yes.
and Jerry Hayes.
Yes.
Okay. I think that's everything we need for now. And I guess we just a motion to adjourn. And then if we need anything else, we may have to get another call together, but this is plenty for us to go on and get started.
Did I hear that
Move we
motion?
adjourn.
Second. Meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all. Y'all take care.
Thank you.
Okay, you all too.
Guys, thanks.
Bye-bye.